Hey guys, so this build started as a meme build. I just wanted to stack a bunch of gas speed, in fact as much gas speed as possible, and just see how fast can I make flamethrower trap rotate. And also try Incinerate yet again, but this time with a lot of gas speed and attack speed for mobility. Because without a lot of gas speed, Incinerate for clear speed does feel kind of sluggish and really unpleasant. It's almost like playing Blade Vortex, except you cannot preload your damage before going into enemy pack. And I must say I did not enjoy playing it until like level 50-60 once I got all the gas speed and mobility that I wanted. But later it did become pretty pleasant to play, and this is level 87 Trickster. I did manage to kill all the Shaper Guardians and Shaper himself as well. So it's not just a meme build stacking a lot of gas speed, but also pretty functional build. But this is not the best example of Incinerate damage. Crit Incinerate totems can have like 4 times more damage. So this build is more like a reference if you are building Incinerate Totem and you want to compare it, or if you are building something like Castle Channeling and you want to compare to your own build, or maybe you do like moving very fast and well, this kind of playstyle. By the way, this was done on a 6 link without any GG armor and with level 19 Incinerate. And if I were to do this again, I would not focus on Ignite at all and just try to get crit, less gas speed, because at this point it's really not efficient to stack so many gas speed. But like I said, I just kind of wanted to make it extreme gas speed version. Oh, by the way, flamethrower trap even with 180 gas speed modifier still doesn't rotate fast, and it doesn't really look like helicopter traps that I expected. So let's talk about the build. In video description I will leave the info, links, timestamps and all that stuff. Now for leveling I was using the modest body armor like this one. Hair's resistance was very helpful against Incursion. And I was using slave driver hands, but it doesn't really give anything special. It just makes you throw traps faster because you are stacking a lot of gas speed, but that's about all. And it does make a really noticeable difference in the trap throwing speed. But later I replaced my gloves with these, which give a lot of flat fire damage against burning enemies. And replaced my previous body armor with this one, which is nothing special, just a lot of life and some resistances which I needed. I bought it very cheaply just because I needed 6 link, that's all. Then for my weapon, I did buy it, I think. I didn't get it myself. Basically I wanted attack speed for shield charge, and it does have a bunch of fire damage to spells, and well, another fire damage which I crafted myself. And these kind of weapons aren't too expensive because of they drop from the temple and everyone farming them. It would be cheaper to get a dagger, but the dagger cannot get fire damage, and spell damage does not affect ignites. And I was expecting to scale ignites to a reasonable amount, but ignites don't really do much damage. Only the final wave that you release and ignite enemies and then proliferate, that one does some damage. But against bosses, ignites are basically too small to even account for, at least on this version. It does help with the clear speed. Next, my helmet. I am using this helmet from my previous burning arrow build, which basically makes you immune to chill and freeze, so you cannot be slowed basically by the cold damage. And I wanted to go fast and not be stopped. Well, I still do get stopped by death. And random pebbles on the ground which I cannot see and shield charge through. I really don't like shield charging. I would prefer to lightning warp, but I can get 45 with lightning warp. Anyway, next, the shield. It's not mandatory, I just wanted gas speed and I wanted to test this shield, which recently got buffed, and the trigger has now 3-second cooldown instead of 10. And the damage actually is pretty impressive on this one. Tooltip DPS, well not DPS, but tooltip average damage is 33,000 without any buffs. And I am focusing a lot on gas speed, which does not affect the damage of this. And even though I'm not a crit build, I still do proc it all the time. Incinerate is just so good for proccing elemental overload and this shield as well. And by the way, support gems inside the shield currently do not affect skill. In the future they may, but currently they do not. Oh, and if you don't know, basically the shield triggers a meteor drop on enemies. And in case you are thinking building around the shield, you can get cooldown recovery speed and reduce the cooldown for this to proc. And you could get much higher damage with more fire damage. I'm not sure if it is scaling with spell damage actually, but it does have crit chance. Anyway, next, the amulet. I wanted to get some fire damage leech, and these aren't actually too expensive. This is not a Shaper or Elder base, This is from the temple, so it is a bit cheaper than you would normally pay for. And you may say, but why not use Warlord's Mark ring? Well, Warlord's Mark is reduced effectiveness against biggest bosses like Shaper and Guardians. So you would basically leech around 0.4% of fire damage as life if you were to use Warlord's Mark against Shaper and Elder. But with this you don't even need to worry about enemies with hexproof or map mod with hexproof. However, mana may be a problem, that's why I'm using one of the rings like this one with minus flat to mana cost of skills. This one is also a lucky drop from the temple. And another ring is nothing too special, just resistance and life. Boots also nothing too special, I do have attack dodge, and belt is another simple item with life and couple resistances and some armor. I am using these 3 flasks. Granite flask for some defenses, I guess you could use basalt flask, but I do prefer granite because I can use it twice before running out of charges. Then I use wise oak and it is balanced around fire resistance, so it does give me some fire pen. And finally I use Azira's Promise for a bit more leech and more chaos resistance and a bit more damage. And then instant life flasks. As for Abyss Jewels, I have 5 Abyss Jewels with life and 1 added flat fire damage to spells mod. So you can definitely improve the damage by getting much better jewels, much better body armor, maybe helmet with Incinerate enchantment. +2 to maximum stages is pretty big, and if you can get +4, that's gonna be a massive boost. Next, skills and links. So in my main setup inside body armor, I am using Incinerate linked with Combustion, Control Destruction, Immolate, Ignite Proliferation, Increased AoE, but I swap Ignite Prolif and Increased AoE with faster casting and conk effect against bosses. In some cases, it is still better to use Increased AoE against bosses if you need more reach. I was using Increased AoE against the Phoenix, against the Minotaur, against the Chimera, which was a cancer and I failed it, but I did use conk effect against the Shaper. Basically anytime where you can position yourself properly and do not take damage, like against the Shaper you just go behind it and just unload all the damage, then you can use conk effect. But in other cases where you need to move a lot, where you need to hit enemies from far away, where you need to hit more than one enemy, like against the Elder, it is still better to use Increased AoE. But I was using conk effect against the first Elder phase. During the portal phase I did use Increased AoE. Next, inside my gloves I do have my flamethrower trap setup linked with conk effect, control destruction and fire penetration. It doesn't actually do that much damage, but it is basically a free damage. You just throw it and just do your own things while this does its own thing. Then inside my boots I do have level 1 cast damage taken linked with Immortal Call and increased duration, and I also have Vaal Grace inside it. And Vaal Grace lasts 11 seconds, which I always forget to use in the moments where I need it. But if you want an extra free 250,000 damage against the Shaper, just use Vaal Righteous Fire. And if I did that, which I will include in path of building, I would have over 900,000 Shaper DPS, but only for a couple of seconds. Then inside the shield I am using Flame Dash, Anger and Herald of Ash. Quality on Herald of Ash is pretty important. And inside my weapon I am using Shield Charge linked with Fortify and faster attacks. Now for the passive skill tree, and this is level 87, I will include level 90 passive skill tree. So like I said, Trickster, and first I did get Patient Reaper, then went for the Prolonged Pain, and then harnessed the Void, and then lastly from the Uberlad I did get the Weave the Arcane. As for the rest of the passive skill tree, basically getting through elemental damage, life, attack and cast speed nodes are very important for this. Then more life, jewel sockets, some AoE, more life, fire damage, elemental overload, more jewel sockets, more fire damage, more life, more elemental damage, a bit more AoE. In the end I would probably refund these attack and cast speed nodes and get these fire burning damage nodes, and it would increase your clear speed quite a lot, or at least a bit. At least it would give more damage than attack and cast speed. And that's about all actually. And the build turned out a bit better than I expected. I just expected it to be a main build, but well, it works. I'm not sure about my next build. I am currently playing with SRS, but I'm not sure if I want to continue playing SRS, I just wanted to test something, so we'll see about that. And I'm definitely not trying to stretch this to 10 minutes to put an extra ad, but basically I have a bunch of builds that I want to try. Maybe Dark Pact Poison Trapper, or maybe Doriani's Fist build, maybe life-based Whispering Eyes, or Indigon Cold Snap build. Anyway, thank you for watching and see you soon.